The camera moves through a silent house where the walls seem to hum with secrets. Dishes sit neatly on the table. Cereal half poured, a child's backpack on the floor, untouched. A police radio crackles faintly in the distance, its static cutting through the stillness. Detective Mara Ellison steps inside, her breath slow, eyes scanning every corner. Something feels wrong. Deeply wrong. Every object is in its perfect place, except the people who lived here. Her voice trembles as she whispers, "They didn't leave. They were arrested." Detective Mara's voice overlays as she moves through the home. No signs of forced entry. No alarm triggered. No calls made. It's like the Haraways stood up mid-breakfast and vanished into air. Officers whisper, taking photos. A neighbor watches from across the street, silent. The refrigerator hums steadily, too loud in the empty space. Mara pauses in the hallway, her flashlight grazing the family photo. Something glimmers behind the frame. Outside, the neighbor, Paul Redding, nervously recounts what he saw. Nothing strange. Lights were out by 10. No visitors, no sounds. But his hands fidget, his eyes avoid the house. Mara watches him closely. "You didn't hear the dog bark?" she asks. He shakes his head too quickly. Her silence lingers, the weight of disbelief filling the air. The camera pans to the house's dark windows, watching them both. Inside the Haraway living room, forensic analyst Dr. Harper Quinn kneels beside a rug, lifting it slightly. No fibers disturbed, no drag marks. Even the dust pattern is perfect. Mara replies, "That's the problem." The walls hum faintly, an electrical buzz under the silence. Harper frowns, scribbling notes. Every trace tells us no one left, but they're gone. Later that evening, the house glows in the fading sun as Mara stands alone, staring at the family photo. She removes the frame carefully, turning it over. Tucked behind the picture, a handwritten note in neat blue ink. "We couldn't stay." Her breath catches. "Who couldn't stay?" she whispers. The silence answers with a faint, rhythmic sound from the upstairs hallway. Tap, tap, tap. The camera holds on Mara's face as realization begins to form. The next morning, the Haraway home becomes a hive of controlled chaos. Police tape flutters in the wind, cameras flash and officers move in and out, yet the air feels dead, untouched by time. Detective Mara stands by the doorway as technicians sweep for prints. "Nothing," says one officer, shaking his head. "No fingerprints, not even theirs." Mara turns toward the living room, eyes narrowing. "Then who's been here?" Her words hang in the air, heavier than the silence. Inside the kitchen, Dr. Quinn leans over the counter. Every surface wiped clean. Not just normal, meticulous. Mara studies the sink. "They were planning something," she says softly. Quinn glances at the coffee pot. "Or someone planned it for them." The tension lingers as a technician enters holding a small evidence bag. Inside it, a crumpled grocery receipt dated one day after the family disappeared. The room falls silent. Mara sits in the dim interview room across from Paul Redding. The hum of the ceiling light feels oppressive. "You said you didn't hear anything unusual," Mara begins, voice calm but cold. Paul nods, eyes darting. "Right, just quiet, like always." She leans forward. "Paul! The family's dog barked at 2:43 a.m. We have it on a recording." His face drains of color. "Then I don't know," he mutters. "Maybe I slept through it." Mara's eyes stay locked on his. "Or maybe you were awake." In the forensic lab, Dr. Quinn studies the family's recovered electronics. No forced access, no deleted data, but something strange. The home Wi-Fi connected at 3:12 a.m. from inside the house. Mara frowns. That's 2 hours after their phones went silent. Quinn plays the security footage, a grainy timestamp, an empty hallway, then static. Mara whispers, It's like someone's watching from the walls. The footage ends with a faint, distorted child's laugh echoing from the speakers. Night falls again. Mara stands alone in the Haraway living room, reviewing her notes. The note from the photo, "We couldn't stay," lies beside her. She glances at the darkened hallway, feeling that same unnatural stillness. Suddenly, her phone buzzes. A voicemail notification, time-stamped the night of the disappearance. She presses play. A woman's voice whispers through static, "They're here." The line cuts out. Mara's hand trembles as she replays it, but this time the voice adds something new. "Don't look in the walls." Detective Mara leans over the flickering monitors in the police tech room. "Rewind to 2:40 a.m., she says. The footage rolls, the Haraway living room empty. Then suddenly, the lights flash off, on, then off again. When they return, the clock on the wall skips forward exactly 17 minutes. Playback gap, the technician murmurs. Mara's pulse quickens, or something edited it. A faint whisper cuts through the speakers, a child's giggle, echoing through static. Mara visits the Haraway house again with Dr. Quinn. They step into the hallway where the missing time occurred. The footage shows this hallway, Quinn says, scanning the walls with a portable scanner. But look, no signal interference here. Mara kneels, running her hand over a faint indentation near the baseboard. "What if the footage wasn't tampered with?" she murmurs. "What if it's showing us exactly what happened?" The hallway light flickers once, then dies. In the police station conference room, evidence covers the table. Maps, receipts, timestamps, all pointing nowhere. Every timeline ends at 2:43 a.m., Mara says quietly. "Then nothing." Dr. Quinn lays down her pen. "Maybe we're missing what came before, not after." The camera pans across the evidence board, lines and photos connecting like a spider's web. Mara stares at one photo, Emma Haraway's drawing. A crude house with dark scribbles beneath it. "What's under their home?" she whispers. Back at the Haraway property, ground-penetrating radar hums softly over the floorboards. "We're getting something," Quinn says. The screen reveals irregular patterns beneath the living room floor. A hollow space. Mara's voice drops to a whisper. "A room." They pry up the boards slowly. Beneath, a narrow passage leads downward, swallowed by darkness. A cold draft rises. "No one knew about this," Quinn mutters. Mara replies, "Someone did." The flashlight trembles as they descend. Mara steps into the hidden space below the house. A cramped room lined with shelves. Old photographs, notebooks, and a broken camera scatter the floor. A faint smell of mildew fills the air. She picks up a small tape recorder and presses play. A child's voice whispers, "If we stay quiet, they won't find us." The recorder clicks off. Mara looks around the dark room, realization dawning. They weren't hiding from someone, she says softly. They were hiding for someone. Her flashlight flickers out. Detective Mara sits in the evidence lab, reviewing files pulled from the Haraway family's recovered laptop. "The folder was hidden behind dummy code," says Dr. Quinn. "Encrypted, but I got inside." On screen, hundreds of text files load, timestamps, names, strange phrases. One entry stands out. "They keep watching from the corners." Mara frowns. "What is this?" Quinn exhales. "It's a diary, written by Daniel." The air tightens. He knew something was coming. They return to the Haraway home, searching the hidden room again. Quinn shines her flashlight over the shelves. "These aren't storage boxes," she says. "They're organized logs, dates, patterns, weather conditions." Mara lifts a page filled with scribbles. 412 a.m. Humming stops. 413. Door opens on its own. She whispers. They were documenting something inside the house. Quinn looks toward the ceiling. or something beneath it. Mara reviews video logs found in Daniel Haraway's files. The footage is grainy. Daniel sits in the dark, speaking softly into the camera. "If anyone finds this, don't come here at night," he whispers. Behind him, a door creaks open by itself. The video distorts, and his voice breaks into static. Mara freezes the frame. Behind Daniel, a blurred reflection appears. Claire Haraway standing still, watching him, but her eyes seem to be closed. Later, Mara and Quinn sit in the car outside the house. Rain patters against the windshield. Daniel wasn't paranoid, Quinn says softly. He was documenting a pattern. Mara exhales. Something happening every night between 240 and 300 a.m.? They sit in silence as lightning flashes. "We could stay," Mara says finally. "See what happens?" Quinn turns uneasy. "If we do, we might find out what they saw," Mara replies. "That's the point." The rain continues, steady and unrelenting. 242 a.m., the house sits silent. Then a low hum begins, a vibration through the ground. Mara and Quinn exchange looks. "You feel that?" Quinn whispers. The lights in the house flicker on, one by one, though no one is inside. A shadow moves past the upstairs window. Quick, deliberate. Mara grabs her flashlight and steps out into the rain. "There's someone in there," she says, voice shaking. But when she opens the door, the hum stops. Every light dies. The house swallows the sound. Detective Mara sits in her car outside Paul Redding's home, watching him through rain-blurred glass. He stands at his window, unmoving. "He hasn't left all day," Mara mutters into her recorder. The radio crackles. Quinn's voice. "We ran his prints from the Haraway porch. One partial match. Paul's." Mara exhales, gripping the steering wheel. "He said he never went inside." Lightning flashes. Through the window, Paul is still watching, but now he's smiling. The next morning, Mara and Quinn confront Paul at his door. "You said you never entered the Haraway home," Mara begins. Paul hesitates. "I might have once, weeks before they disappeared." "Why?" Mara asks. His eyes twitch. "They asked me to check something in the basement," said. The lights kept turning on. Quinn glances at Mara. The basement wasn't on the house plans. Paul's voice falters. "I heard something down there, whispering." He looks away. "I told them to leave it alone." Later in the evidence room, Mara spreads out new findings. Paul's power bill spiked 2 months before the disappearance, she notes. Quinn frowns. "He's been running something." A tech hands over a photo, a child's drawing found in Paul's trash. 2 stick figures stand in the dark. One smaller, one taller, surrounded by black scribbles. "It's Emma's drawing?" Quinn whispers. Mara stares at it, voice low. How did this end up at his house? The question hangs, unanswered, chilling. That night, a warrant brings Mara and her team to Paul's backyard. Shovels dig into wet soil under floodlights. Paul sits on the porch, silent, hands cuffed. An officer calls out, "We've got something!" A small metal box emerges from the dirt. Inside, an old camera, wrapped in a plastic bag. Mara powers it on. The screen flickers, showing the Haraway kitchen. Then the feed turns, facing the camera operator. Paul's face fills the frame. He's whispering, "I told them not to stay." In the interrogation room, Paul's voice trembles. "They said something was under their house. I didn't believe them. But the night they vanished, I saw lights. Not from inside, from below." Mara leans in. "Below what?" He shakes his head violently. "It's not a basement. It's deeper." His breathing quickens. "I heard their voices after they were gone. Every night, I still do." Mara glances at the mirrored window, her reflection distorted. "Then you're going to show us where?" Mara stares at the caseboard in her office. Photos, timelines, and reports, all slightly off. "Who moved this?" she mutters. Quinn steps in, holding 2 folders. These were logged yesterday. They're gone from the system now. Mara scans the contents. Identical copies of her own notes, but in handwriting that isn't hers. Someone's rewriting our case, she whispers. Quinn exhales, or erasing it. The camera pans slowly across the room. Half the photos on the wall are missing. They revisit Paul's recorded confession. The playback skips. His words distort. There. Still. Down. There. Quinn rewinds, slows it down. Behind his voice, faint whispers echo. Multiple voices, overlapping. Mara leans closer, goosebumps rising. Those aren't echoes, she says. They're responses. Quinn isolates the background audio. A child's voice whispers, "Don't look!" The recording ends abruptly with a loud, metallic clang. The room falls silent except for Mara's unsteady breathing. Late that night, Mara can't sleep. She pores over Daniel's encrypted journal entries. One stands out. The pattern repeats. We hear them first, then we disappear. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She answers. Then a familiar voice whispers, "We couldn't stay." Mara freezes, heart pounding. The call ends. She scrolls her contacts. The number belongs to Claire Haraway. Impossible, she murmurs. But her reflection in the window doesn't move when she does. The next day, Quinn confronts Mara. "You didn't tell me about the call," she says. Mara looks distant. It wasn't a call. It was a recording. From the Haraways. Quinn studies her face. "Mara, you're not fine. Weren't you? You've been awake for 40 hours. Mara slams her fist on the desk. "I heard them, Harper." The silence that follows is thick and raw. Finally, Quinn softens. Then we find out what they wanted to show us. Mara exhales. "Tonight, we go back." Night again. The Haraway house looms silent. Mara and Quinn enter, flashlights cutting through the dark. The underground passage yawns open. "Ready," Quinn whispers. "No," Mara says, stepping down anyway. The descent feels endless. They reach the hidden chamber, now changed. The shelves are empty. On the wall, new handwriting glistens. They didn't take us. We followed. A faint whisper echoes. "Welcome back." Mara's flashlight flickers, then dies. The screen fades to black. Mara and Quinn stand in the silent underground chamber. The new writing on the wall gleams faintly. "We followed what?" Quinn whispers. Mara scans the room, then notices a small door she hadn't seen before. Rusted hinges half buried in dirt. "That wasn't here," she mutters. The air grows colder. Quinn's flashlight flickers as she steps closer. From behind the door, a faint tapping sound, like knuckles brushing wood. Mara's voice trembles. Someone's still down there. Mara and Quinn heave the small door open. A gust of air rushes out, colder than the rest of the house. A narrow tunnel slopes downward, lined with old wood beams and exposed wires. Quinn hesitates. "How deep does this go?" Mara answers quietly. "Far enough." They descend slowly, flashlights trembling. Faint voices drift up from below. Children laughing. A man murmuring softly. "Daniel?" Mara calls. The laughter stops. Then, in the darkness, a voice whispers back, "You're late." They reach a vast underground room. The walls are covered in photographs. Hundreds of copies of the Haraway family smiling, but each one slightly different. In one, Daniel looks older. In another, Emma's eyes are closed. Quinn's breath catches. These are versions. Mara lifts a photo and turns it over. A date scrawled on the back, tomorrow. The room hums softly, lights flickering from unseen sources. They didn't vanish. Mara whispers. They crossed over. A faint voice echoes from the far wall. Claire's voice. We couldn't stay where time breaks. Quinn spins around, flashlight searching. The beam lands on an old camera mounted to the wall. Still recording. The red light blinks steadily. Mara steps closer and touches the lens. It's warm. A new video begins playing on its own, projected faintly onto the opposite wall, the Haraways at their kitchen table, laughing softly. Then one by one they fade from sight, not walking away, not disappearing, dissolving. The screen flickers, and their laughter echoes off the walls. Days later, the house stands sealed, police tape fluttering in the wind. Inside, Mara walks through alone. Every photo, every note, gone. Only silence remains. She stands in the kitchen, staring at the table where it began. Her phone buzzes. Unknown number. She answers. The same whisper as before. We didn't disappear, Mara. You will. Her eyes widen. The call ends. The lights flicker on by themselves. The camera pulls back through the window as Mara stands frozen, her reflection still smiling long after she's stopped.